Viewers, welcome back to our Jesse Kaur segment. We have Jesse again with us. I'm glad to have you here again on the studio today. We had many questions from last time. We'll take those questions a little bit later. First, I want to ask you about how we can look at marriage spiritually.
Let me start with a quotation from Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the same scripture that Jesse Kaur is from. There is a quote that says, "Don't call them man and wife that only live together. Call them man and wife when they are one glowing light in two bodies." Now you will say that that is a tough ideal, and it is. It is. I mean, when 1 out of 2 marriages are breaking, this is a tall order to look at marriage as, two bodies in one light. I think what it really means is bringing it down to the brass tacks, that be supportive of each other, be respectful, have a single purpose. And when you say a single purpose, meaning two people cannot walk a path constantly warring. So when you're doing one thing, the other should be supporting that path or that activity or that purpose that you have. For example, in your life, what you're doing, you probably won't be able to do it if your husband is at war with you on this. You can do your best when he's supportive of you.
Like you mentioned, not competitive, but supportive.
Yeah, supportive, collaborative, but not competitive, right? Yeah, we were talking off camera, yes. So I think that is what is missing. Our egos become so strong and they balloon up, and we want to be always right and we want to prove our point, and we're constantly clashing. I always say, go back to the time when you first fell in love, when everything was rosy and when everything was all right. And if you can come back to your marriage with that same sense of cooperativeness, the same sense of respect and courtesy, and seeing the good rather than the bad, I think one can go a long way.
It's difficult to avoid fights and conflicts and arguments. How do you teach people
Arguments
to stay
and
calm?
Discussions are healthy.
What about fights?
Well, how do you define a fight when you're totally like...
When you're shouting at each other and
No,
calling
that is-
each other
no, that's
names
not- okay,
and
so-
harsh
so-
words
yes.
come out of your mouth.
So this culture, the Western culture, teaches us to literally vomit out all our feelings. Be open and honest and blunt. To a certain extent, there is value to that. Being open and honest is not being manipulative and not being dishonest and not being, I would say manipulative again. To be transparent. But it doesn't mean that spout of all your anger. It doesn't mean say things when you're angry. The rule in my marriage is we don't want both of us to be angry at the same time. One person is allowed to be angry. And when that anger subsides, you can talk to your spouse a lot more rationally. But when it becomes this match of abusiveness, it's very hard to take the words back. It's very hard. And then you start carrying a baggage. Then the past hurts start heaping up. And we don't want to live like that. So I would say, yes, be open and honest, but also think before you talk. Before you let out those harsh words, think about what the outcome is going to be.
Now, we had some questions on marriage from our viewers, and I'm going to read one of them to you. There's Vanessa who's writing to us from Mountain View that what is the key sauce of staying happy in marriage?
What is the key word?
Key sauce.
Key sauce of staying happy. I think respect and consideration. Acceptance of the fact that you will think differently, but don't lose respect. Like I was saying in the last segment last week when we met, that we're so kind and nice to other people, but at home when we think it's a safe environment, we let our hair down and we can be nasty. We want to be more loving to our children and more loving to our spouse, even more loving than we are to strangers and to friends.
We have another question for you, Jesse, and she writes from LA, and she wants to know what if you cannot forget or forgive something that your spouse has done? Sometimes it's very difficult. How do you condition your mind to get past that feeling?
You know, it depends on what it is. If there is physical, emotional abuse in a marriage, then there is no excuse for that. But harsh words said in anger, if you don't forget them, you know, you'll keep building up that pile of garbage, of trash. Forgiveness is not something you do for another person. Forgiveness is healing that you go through yourself. And it's a process. It doesn't happen like this. You have to empathize, you have to understand, you have to own up to what your part in the argument was and where you were wrong. If you step back and have that neutral mind, that observing mind, and you're able to self-reflect, you'll be surprised how much you'll be able to understand the other person's point of view. And this is not just in marriage, this is anywhere, in any relationship, between friends, in a professional relationship. It's very important to self-reflect and see where you went wrong and what you could have done different, and what was the other person's perspective. So this kind of thinking, this kind of self-reflection really allows wisdom. It's not about the devil you know is better than the devil who is unknown. It's not that attitude. It's what can I do to make this better? I got into it when I was younger, and perhaps I have changed and my partner has changed, but we brought two beautiful children into this world. We do have a responsibility towards them. What can we do to make it better? If both of them keep resisting, we will not have a happy outcome. But if both people try, I am a die-hard optimist. I believe relationships can be mended. And I'm not talking about, like I said, those horrible abusive situations. No, but I'm talking about your everyday marriage where staleness sets in, where boredom sets in.
I think that is one of the reasons. The staleness sets in, and then you get on each other's nerves, and then you feel that, oh, you know, this is something that I have to deal with for the rest of my life. But there must be a way to refresh.
So the way is to find new purpose in your marriage. Join an activity that you can do together. Go someplace together where both of you enjoy. Go hiking, go near nature. Let nature heal you and bring freshness to you. Go out with other friends who are happy and who are in a good marriage and see what they are doing. I think all relationships need to be nurtured. And I think we forget to do that in our most intimate relationships. We don't nurture them. In fact, we take them for granted. In fact, we cut at the roots. And that's what we need to stop doing. Appreciation. You know, appreciation is from a root word that means praise. So praise is gratitude. Praise is acceptance. Praise is acknowledging the goodness in the relationship. If you want something to grow, praise it, appreciate it. And if you are constantly blaming, then you know what? You're cutting at the roots.
I could sit here and talk to you forever, Jesse, but we have to go. I want to bring you back again next month. And viewers, I'm sure you have many questions for Jesse. Write to us at ekonkar@womennow.tv, and we will answer some of the questions for you, or you can answer them offline to them.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to getting those questions. See you again next time. Jesse, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ina. It's a pleasure to be here.